Before we start our episode today, I want to thank our sponsor, 32 Below Froyo and More. They're located here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They have frozen yogurt. They have tons of toppings, paninis. They've got salads, snacks. They also have beer and wine, adult floats, and every Saturday and Sunday, they have endless mimosas. So make sure that you follow them on social media, keep up to date on everything happening, and go support them. They're an amazing local business. All right, so it is the month of November. This month, we are going to focus on wellness. So each guest is around a piece of wellness, physical, emotional, mental health. And so we're going to be bringing on someone new each episode that gives you a tip, gives you a little nugget of wellness so that you can have a successful winter, so that you can be healthier and happier during this dark time. So enjoy the episode. Welcome to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Croc, and every Monday, I talk to someone here in North Idaho with the goal to connect more people in the Coeur d'Alene area. And then every Friday, I talk to someone outside the community to bring in a new perspective and to learn a little bit about yourself. Good morning. I have Jake with me today. Jake, thank you so very much for joining me.
Absolutely.
I am excited. So I've known Jake for a couple years now. We actually worked kind of together at Peak Fitness in Post Falls. He was a trainer there, and I taught some group fitness classes, and that's how we met. And he has taken his fitness level and coaching and personal training to a different level. So Jake, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I do run my own personal training and small group coaching business. I'm based out of Precision Fitness, but yeah, it's just my own thing. I kind of just lease space from them, and yeah, I mean that keeps me busy for the most part. But I'm also working a little bit more on some other projects. I can't really divulge any more information on those just yet,
Oh, man.
just yet. But I can say one project, if you've followed me or anything like that, is clothing. It's not necessarily a clothing line, but it's a brand that I kind of just want to, it's more for like inspiring people and making them feel stronger. My whole motto, the company name is BST Fitness. And rolling back to when I kind of first started doing my own thing, I was like, I don't want to put my name on it, not because it's like sketchy or anything like that, but because I want the mission of the business to be more about like helping others and helping them become stronger and things like that. So it just kind of popped in my head one day. BST, Become Stronger Today, kind of fit well with the whole training, persona and things like that. And yeah, so now I do have the clothing brand. I'm kind of working out some kinks with it with COVID and everything going on. But other than that, yeah, just kind of staying busy, building the brand and just connecting with people in our community.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. You also have a podcast too. I've been a guest now 2 times. So tell us a
Two
little bit about
times.
the podcast and your goal with your podcast.
Yeah, so that's called All the Best Things, and best is spelled BST, of course, just to keep the brand name there. But basically, my goal with podcasting is to connect with people in our community and outside the community, and just kind of hear their stories, have them share their experiences with. Of course, this year everyone's talking about the struggles with COVID and how it's thrown them a curveball and how they're adapting to things. But I try to dig a little bit deeper with some people, have some fun with it. You can see some people on interviews on TV or whatever, and it seems like they're asked the same question every time. So I try to dive either a little bit deeper or just find something that's maybe obscure about them or something that people wouldn't know. Like when I had you on for a second time, it wasn't the same interview that we had the first time. I kind of dove a little bit deeper and just asked some fun questions right at the end. So I like to make it fun, and I like to share just connections with people and keep people that maybe are watching or tuning in to that show or podcast, just to keep them informed, so
Exactly.
that's
I love
kind of my goal with it.
The rapid fire questions were fun.
Yeah, so you were the first person I did that with, and now it's kind of a trend. It's kind of catching some fire, I think.
I love that. I was like, oh, I gotta think quick. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Hopefully you don't make me do the same thing, because I kind of like jotted down some questions and I'm like, I don't even know if I have a favorite this or favorite that. So I got to thinking a little bit this morning.
That is awesome. Like to keep you on your toes. So,
Yeah.
and then also you've done with your fitness stuff, you've done some like kind of fundraising or done stuff for local nonprofits as well.
Yeah, so twice this year now, we've had to actually reschedule kind of a fundraising opportunity for Children's Village. And I know you were affiliated with Children's Village for a long time. You know what they're all about. But yeah, I've connected with them and wanted to host some workouts and stuff, giving proceeds back to them just to kind of help them. And then especially this year, it's tough to have all the supplies they need and all the especially cleaning supplies. They're always putting out lists on their social media about things they need, and it seems like non-perishable foods and cleaning supplies are like top of the list every time. So I'm like, I can't necessarily just do it single-handedly. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to get the community involved and um, yeah, unfortunately, twice now due to COVID and some of the restrictions here locally, I haven't been able to do the big group workouts that I wanted to do. I was planning, I was like 90% planned with a Halloween kind of fun costume competition and things like that with a workout. And of course, then that's when all the restrictions were kind of tightened up a little bit again. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, but 2021, I'm going to try again to make it bigger and better than ever.
I love it. Well, with the COVID, how's it affected you and your business?
Yeah, so luckily, for a few months there when it first started out, we did go on a bit of a hiatus, had to tell the clients that, the gyms are closed down and things like that. But once they reopened the gyms, I was lucky enough to have some of my people in my small group have been with me for a while now. And that kind of just continued going after we reopened the gyms and stuff. And then, yeah, with the one-on-one clients and stuff, it's kind of picking up a little bit now just because I think people are a little bit more aware of their health and they're like, oh man, this is pretty serious. If I want to be healthier, stronger, things like that. I don't know if my social media is making an impact at all, but maybe they're seeing stuff on there and they like that. I don't know, but
Awesome
I,
though.
it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. And since the gyms have been open, it's been, training as a whole is pretty hit or miss. But I feel as long as I'm staying consistent with, reaching out to people and just checking in on people, past and present clients, that maybe something will come of it. Word of mouth is huge for marketing that. So once you get a handful of people in and they like what you do and are seeing results, I think that kind of speaks for itself. So
Yeah, and I think that's super important right now. We finding out so much more about COVID, and if you are a healthier individual, you have a
yeah.
better diet, lower cholesterol, and you've got lower blood. You have all these things. You don't have diabetes.
Hmm.
You might not even get symptoms. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe just talk about the importance of like health and fitness, especially right now, and then going into like the cold season and flu
Yeah.
season and daylight savings time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Daylight savings time messed me up big time. And it seems like it's only an hour, but that hour I was like, what day of the week is it? Like how do I get things started? What appointment, but
Mhm.
I'm glad we have technology for that, to keep my calendar all updated and stuff. But yeah, changing to the seasons is huge because that's when like the cold and the flu and stuff flare up anyway. And now that we have kind of a third uh, disease or sickness, if you will, yeah, it's just forced people to be more aware. And I think it's actually been a little bit of a blessing in disguise because people now are reading. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, they're reading the labels and stuff a little bit more. They're reading like the ingredients that are in some, even like medicines and things like that. They're like, okay, I'm a little bit more aware. I'm a little bit more cognizant of what's going in my body, to keep it powered. So I do a little bit of nutrition coaching with people, just in terms of like having them. I have a grocery list that I've prepped for people that I work with. It's like, hey, if you stay on this list, there's a great chance that your calories are going to be reduced to a point where you can be in a deficit but not starving yourself, things like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's really important too to obviously you see it in kids and stuff more, but when the seasons change and we get cold weather and stuff, you'll see people outside in like t-shirts or just long sleeve shirts, and it's like, bundle up, man, keep warm, and your immune system will thank you. It won't have to work as hard to keep you, on top of your game. So
That's a good point. So do you have,
yeah,
I know you said you know a little about nutrition and you talked a little,
yeah.
do you have like a specialty? Like, it's like you're known for this kind of either workout, fitness, like, what is your specialty, you would say?
I don't know if I have necessarily like a specialty. I enjoy doing the small group stuff, and that was kind of hampered by COVID, just because you can have 5 to 10 people in a group, and generally we're setting up circuits, we're doing fun little. I try to make like games out of it, and I know everybody's got a little bit of a gambler in them. They like to roll the dice a little, so I kind of incorporate gambling into the workout sometimes, just so it's not the same thing for everybody. And that's, like I said, kind of been hampered by COVID, because I think people are skeptical to be in a close knit group with 5 to 10 other people, So, but as far as like one-on-ones are concerned, generally I would say 8 out of 10 times it's for weight loss or muscle building, of course. And yeah, I think it's just, as long as people are getting consistent results, they're more likely to stick it out. If they're gaining, frustrations and just hitting ruts constantly and things like that, that's when it becomes way more difficult to stay the course.
So if you ever follow Jake, you see his Instagram. He's like, he does a lot of his work. He gives you free workout advice on his Instagram all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So and you do a lot of great workouts. Obviously you like that high intensity. What inspired you to be your best self?
Yeah, so growing up, I mean, this is kind of the long-winded answer, but growing up, I played sports. I played sports all year, whether it was football, basketball, baseball. I played soccer. I just tried to the only reason I really played sports, I guess, and stayed in school as long as I did, was to play sports. It was kind of my motivator to stay active and stay, like, that's where my friend group and stuff were when I was growing up. So I was like, well, if I want to hang out with them, I gotta keep up with them, So they kind of pushed me a little bit. And then after school, one of my, I guess it was while I was still in high school, one of my first jobs was just working the front desk at a little gym in the community I grew up in. There was probably like 250 members total. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I just like sold memberships and stuff. But it was cooler, not necessarily to sell memberships, but to like meet these people and connect with them. And I kind of leapfrogged from there to personal training, because it kept me in shape. It was a reason for me to stay active, but also, again, to connect with people. And it's awesome to hear their stories and help them get back to maybe where they were, some of the memories that they're fond of, or years ago when they were healthier, better in shape, or stronger, or whatever. And if you can kind of influence that in a little way, it depends on, I guess, who you're working with, but generally those people stay in contact with you for years to come. So I like that.
Ah, that's awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you, not rapid fire, but I'm going to ask you a few fun questions.
Okay.
So you're local in Coeur d'Alene. What are the best 3 restaurants to go to for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Oh man. Okay, breakfast. I don't even remember what it's called. Bell's Brunch House, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, they're awesome. We just discovered them a couple months ago, so they were a good breakfast place. They're like part of Chomper Cafe, aren't they? I think they're like family or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Owners, yeah.
Okay, so we went to both those places for a few months there until everything kind of picked up again with COVID. Lunch. Oh man, I don't really know. I like we used to go to Tito's downtown for lunch, just to grab something quick in there, Tito's is good. And then okay, I guess like a dinner lunch place. Unfortunately, they had some it's 2020, so they had some setbacks this year, but Schmitty's Burgers is like the best burger place, I think. I love Schmitty's, and I love and they're reopening, I guess, somewhere down on Sherman here pretty shortly.
Are they?
They have a sign on a building on Sherman, so I don't know if maybe that's breaking news. I don't know, but the gym I'm at is like half a block from there, so I'm like, ooh, that's dangerous for lunch.
Hey,
but
that's my neck of the woods. I live down there, so
you know where that Warrior Camp MMA place was? It's like in that same building, that same little strip right there.
Well,
yeah,
that could be.
I don't know if it's open. I have no idea, but maybe this is like a shameless plug for them. I'm not sure.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So outside,
go ahead.
Being like fit and exercising, you just got married, what, last year?
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh, it's already been that long.
I know. Yeah.
What are, maybe you and your wife's hobbies or things that you like to do outside of, your realm of work?
Yeah, so she's really artistic and good with like woodworking and things like that. She taught herself how to crochet, so there's like arts and crafts everywhere in the house. I am the least artistic person probably on this side of the earth. Um, yeah, some things I like to do though. Most of my stuff revolves around exercise and getting outside and hiking, and I don't know. Everyone, okay, I guess one thing I like to do is collect hats. I have like just under 40 hats. I don't know why. I just decided one day that I like collecting hats. So if we travel or something, oftentimes I'm popping into a store to just find maybe a hat from that local place, or I have baseball teams that I collect. So I guess it's like a collection of sorts.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of unique, I guess. And then I like looking and watching shows on TV about like old cars and stuff. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not mechanically inclined, but I like seeing it's how people watch like HGTV to see how they flip a house.
Yep.
Well, I like to see how they like flip cars. They find a rusted out bucket of bolts in someone's field and then they turn it into something they turn around and sell for like 50 grand or 100 grand. I'm like, that's insane.
That's crazy. That is
So
so cool.
yeah. Yeah. So that's those are some of the things I like outside of fitness and stuff. So
So if you had a billboard and you could put anything on this billboard, what would your billboard
yeah.
either have or say on it?
Honestly, probably something along the tagline that I have for the business, become stronger today, because a lot of people, when they first read it, you're like on surface value, it's just, oh, I'm going to get big muscles. I'm going to get, stronger. But really, I like to make it more of like a mentality and a spiritual thing as well. Like if you're not comfortable with where you're at, in your own head, sometimes becoming stronger doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym. It's reading a book or listening to a podcast, or just connecting somehow with your inner self, spiritually as well. It's just being the best you that you can be is really what become stronger today means. And to me, it's going to the gym and getting stronger physically, but to me it's also mentally a release to go to the gym and to kind of disconnect from everything, even though that's where I guess connect with people. But it's a time for me to just put the worries behind you, whatever they may be. And especially this year with everything that seems to be piling up on everybody,
Mhm.
um, that half hour to an hour is a time when you're just free, I guess. So
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
So with your career, you've been doing it for a few years now.
yeah.
What is something you wish you knew before you started your career?
I wish I knew. I mean, I kind of knew coming into it that it was up and down, and especially where we live, where there's seasons, and obviously there's more people here in the summer than there is in the winter. I just wish I knew that there was a way for some bit of consistency to be found, and I've kind of found that through, like I said, different avenues and different revenue streams and things like that, where I'm doing the clothing design stuff now, and just trying to support with that. I'm supporting like the local school. If I can get connected with like the local high schools and not-for-profits and things, I wish I knew more about that when I first got started. Just because there's so many not-for-profits that people don't even know about that are amazing causes, and if you find a desire to help them out, it makes you feel good too in a way. So
For sure. So
yeah.
do you have someone or like a hero or someone that really has inspired you through your life?
Um, the easy answer is your parents for the work ethic that they've instilled in you. But lately, since I've been a trainer, I've actually had him on my podcast. If you follow Jeremy Scott, Jeremy Scott Fitness on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, he's always just like, he lays it down the law. He's not this guy that's like The Rock or something like that, which is super intense and super in your face all the time. But he's always just like, this is how it is, and this is how you got to deal with things, and this fitness is his vehicle for success and things like that. But he's got his own podcast that I listen to, and he's always sharing nutrition stuff or like personal stories or things like that. And a lot of it's relatable because he's been through a lot of the same stuff coming up through the ranks as training and getting to where he's at as a fitness influencer on social media and stuff that I'm experiencing now. You know what I mean? Just now that I'm in my like infancy years still of training, I'm like, oh yeah, like maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, he went through this, but now I get to experience maybe the hardships or like the little successes or whatever, the victories in life. And it's cool that you can hear it from other people. And for whatever reason, I just kind of like gravitated towards him when I first got on social media. So he's kind of a hero, and it was cool to interview him a
Oh,
couple months back. So
that's really
yeah,
cool. So,
yeah,
you know, obviously we're all going through everyone's going through some struggle right now, whether it's
right.
COVID, losing your job, you're not
Mhm,
motivated to work out anymore, the season change, all of these things. What is
mhm.
like a piece of advice you could give people listening, maybe more just like really focused around fitness or wellness, like a piece of advice for people right now?
Yeah, it's take it, make it an incremental process. Baby steps are super important to just kind of follow by. Everyone thinks that I'll talk to people every day that are like, oh, I got to lose 50 pounds by Christmas, and it's like you realize there's 50 days till Christmas, right? Like, um, I think if you just take it a little bit at a time, it's like eating pizza or something. You're not going to just try to fit the whole pizza in your mouth, right? You got to take one slice at a time. So, however you decide to divide that up, whether it's how you're eating or whatnot, sometimes there's people that come in and talk to me and they're like, hey, I have a 12 pack of Pepsi a day. And I'm like, okay, so instead, I mean, obviously we need to reduce that, but instead of going 0 to 100 or 100 to 0, we got to go, okay, you have 12, maybe you have 10 today. Maybe you have 8 the next day. Maybe, things like that, because it's going to be I mean, not a great term, but culture shock if you go from not having worked out to just working out 5 or 6 days a week, just putting your body through something that it's not adapted to in any sense yet. So yeah, if there's, I always preach too flexibility for people, and guys are often like, oh, I don't need to stretch. I'm just here to do curls and whatever. But if they can gain mobility and flexibility, it's just going to make their movements that they make a whole lot smoother and a whole lot easier. Yeah. So instead of trying to take a huge chunk out of the process, just baby steps, and that's not going to be the same for everybody. We talked about it on my podcast when you were on. You're a runner. If I was trying to train for a marathon or something right now, I would have to start really small because I am not a runner.
Right, exactly.
So it's just like I'm not going to just try to go outside right now in the snow and run 26.2 miles. You know,
Exactly.
um, but it's yeah. I just say that if you can take it in baby steps, and it's gonna take some trial and error. Maybe you're gonna say, okay, I can start 4 days a week, and then your body's gonna say, well, maybe four was too much. So then you'll say, okay, I'll do 3 days a week next week. Okay, I'll do 2 days a week next week, until you find that happy point where you're like, all right, I've recovered adequately. I'm ready to go again. You have to find consistency in your process as well. So yeah, if you start small, it's okay to build up. If you start big, and then it's not really a failure if you aren't able to make it 4 or 5 or 6 days a week. It's more of like a learning opportunity, like understand your body. And that's part of becoming stronger today with my motto, and company name. It's just finding it within yourself. You know your limits, know where you can, where the red light comes on. You don't necessarily push through the red light, because the red light is your body telling you, hey, we got to slow down. We got to back off a little bit. And yellow's like, all right, take it easy. And then green is just like full steam ahead. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's perfect. And I think that's
yeah,
a great piece of advice. Even that, like you said about the Pepsi, I've talked
yeah,
to so many people who are like, well, I don't know if I can give up this, or if I can
yeah,
like, it is, or finding a substitute of something that's really close to it. Like people that really like to
yeah,
drink beer, why don't you try like, something lower calorie, like try a Michelob Ultra, like just switch
right,
things up instead you don't have to like give it all up. And then that's when you relapse and go back and you're like, screw it, I'm going to do 27 Pepsis
right,
today.
right. So another thing that I talk to people, and this is a current or common answer from them. They don't understand why maybe they're not losing weight. They're like, hey, it's been a week. And my weight stayed the same, or it's gone up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you eating throughout the day? And they're listing all this stuff off: salad, I drink water all day. I'm only having 1,200 calories Monday through Friday. And I'm like, okay, well, there's 7 days in a week. and you're forgetting two of them when you're tracking your calories or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, we go out Friday nights and have beers and wings and appetizers with friends. Then we go out Saturday morning for breakfast and then for lunch and for dinner. And I'm like, well, your average throughout the week is going to balloon way up when you're 1,200 a day Monday through Friday, but you're at 3,400 a day Friday, Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So it's all mathematical, and it kind of can break down numbers wise, but to not overwhelm people, just try to find some consistency. If you're going out and you're drinking 6 or 8 or 10 beers after work every day, maybe go, lesser to 6 or 4 or whatever, and then just incrementally back that off a little bit until you're not so dependent on it, because people think that you're only dependent on like nicotine and like smoking, and it's really hard to quit smoking, and it is, but it's also really hard to quit drinking Red Bulls and Pepsi and eating sugar and stuff like that. So I will say, I don't know if this is a question you were going to ask, but one of my like kryptonites, if you will, is sour candy. So if I come home and there's like sour candy, they say like 2 servings on a bag of this, and I'm like, no way, that's going to be 1 because I love sour candy. But like I'm eating like 1 whole bag.
Yeah.
It may be over the course of a couple hours or whatever, but yeah. So if you know that, hey, Pepsi is my, it's the equivalent of nicotine to me, then you got to just not have it in the house, not have it readily available, because you're more likely, if it's out of sight, out of mind, it'll be a lot easier than if you're just loading junk food into your house. You're just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm hungry, go get a bag of chips or whatever.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. If anybody wants to reach out to you or wants to hire you or talk to you about personal training or talk to you about nutrition, how do they go about, finding you and connecting with you?
Yeah. So on social media, pretty much everywhere, minus like Snapchat, I guess. I don't do Snapchat. But I guess I am kind of like on TikTok. I try. I don't really use it the right way though, I don't think. So I don't know. I'm not like trending on TikTok, but BST _365 on pretty much all of those. BSTfitness365.com has links to like the podcast. Clothing is coming soon. And pretty much I do a blog every once in a while too, when I feel like really just emotional or something and feel like I have to write something down. So the blog, everything's on that. And then if you want to just contact me directly, email is probably the best, bstfitness365@gmail.com. Just shoot me a message, ask me questions, whatever. There's a chat feature on the website, so we can talk.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not normally on this end of the microphone, so it was fun to flip roles here a little bit.
Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Kroc, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.